say to thee, have mercy, have mercy.
This is The Good, the Bad, and the Wrestling, a Tony James podcast. You can find us on Spotify, hit follow. You can find us on YouTube, hit subscribe. And as always, on Facebook, Outlaw Tony James. I've got a lot of surprises for you. We're going to talk about independent wrestling. We're going to talk about independent promotions and independent wrestlers. I got a couple clips from Eric Bischoff and a couple from Jim Cornette. And I hope you always stay the entire length of the episode. But I do have an MJF match for you. We're going to talk a little AEW. All that being said, the surprise I was talking about, well, you just wait and see if you can find out where it's located. It doesn't matter what else you're doing today. It doesn't matter what other podcasts you're listening to. Plant yourself down. Put yourself in a seat. Lay down real wide. It doesn't matter. The Good, the Bad, and the Wrestling, a Tony James podcast is coming at you. So what do you say we get to work? Today's podcast is brought to you by Three Brothers RC. They are the only place to go for RC products. Also, Southpaw Boxing Club. It's time. Right now is your time to get started on your health and fitness, and Southpaw Boxing Club is the place to go for that. And finally, Jose Sanchez Boots. They've been in business since 1963. They are the end-all, be-all when it comes to boots. We want to thank all three sponsors here at The Good, the Bad, and the Wrestling, a Tony James podcast, and we ask that you reach out to them. That is Three Brothers RC, Southpaw Boxing Club, and Jose Sanchez Boots. Hey, this is The Good, the Bad, and the Wrestling, a Tony James podcast. I'm so happy to be here today with you to talk about independent wrestling. We want to talk about booking, talent, and a couple other goodies that we're going to talk about today. But as always, the bells of justice are ringing, and one last shout out to superstar Billy Graham and his family, still sending prayers and positive energy your way. I hope everybody has had a chance to check out my tribute podcast to superstar Billy Graham, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man who is still too sweet to be sour. Before we get into our topics today, I have a couple clips of the day for you. The first clip is from NXT, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know some of the names still because I'm not an NXT follower. However, the reason I bring your attention to this first clip, a few podcasts back, we talked about the debut of The Rock's daughter. And once again, we weren't hating on her because she's The Rock's daughter. I think she should get all the same equality when it comes to props or negative criticism. And this first clip we're going to watch deals with her. It's just interesting, so I'm going to let you watch that one. And then the second clip is just self-explanatory. So let's get into these two clips of the day, and then we'll briefly talk about them and see what you think.
Ava.
In case you didn't see the upside down coming, and now the Dyad have a golden opportunity.
5 minutes. Put him out.
Okay, I'm sorry. So that first clip, I don't get the psychology behind that clip. number one, I didn't believe the sell that, oh, he hit me. And number two, we've had so many intergender matches. There's equality when you're using a closed fist, an open hand, or you're hitting someone of a different gender with a move. So, number one, if she's not in the match, why is she in the ring? She should be DQ'd anyway. And then to say he hit me, the other guy who supposedly hit her should have been, oh, whatever. I just don't get the whole psychology about how that instance, pardon me, got the win. It just, to me, that makes no sense, especially in modern day wrestling, because anything goes. So just her falling on her butt saying he hit me, the match should have continued. She shouldn't have been in the ring in the first place. And if that's their attempt to do an Eddie Guerrero, that was a poor attempt. Anyway, the reason I'm laughing, the second clip, where are they at? So, lighting his pants on fire, hitting him with a weed whacker. Oh boy, those fans! I thank the Lord there was a fan in the arena, about 70 of them tops, maybe, right? Saying, "Put him out, put him out." Oh, thank you for that. And then, of course, I love how the fans, they got to get involved, so they just start dumping water on him. I'm glad he appreciated that, and he got to get them sweats off so he doesn't light himself on fire. I don't get that at all. And we're going to get into that type of scenario later when we talk about booking between promotions and other things. So those are your two clips of the day. Hopefully you enjoyed those. If not, I do apologize, but I got a kick out of both of those just because, one, you've got a very well-established company / promotion in NXT, and I just do not get the psychology behind that spot whatsoever. And then, of course, the other one, I don't know why you would even do that, even in front of 5,000 fans, lighting pants on fire and hitting them with a weed whacker, just to have to turn around and have to put him out. If that's a real match, why fans are trying to put him out with water, I'm over there dousing him with more kerosene, especially if it's not illegal. So maybe I'm twisted. I don't know. Now, moving on. Before we get into the meat of the matter, I want to talk about a clip that I pulled off of Conrad Thompson and Eric Bischoff's podcast, and it talks about Bill Goldberg wanting to do a farewell tour, a Force City farewell tour, and they make some interesting comments. And yes, you know it, I'm a Hulk Hogan fanatic. I think he's the man, right up there with Superstar Billy Graham. And so I'm going to jump on this as soon as I get a chance to. I know previously when Cardona was talking about wanting creative control, I brought up the incidents about how everybody bitched at Hogan for having creative control, which he rarely used. And then all of a sudden now he wants it. So listen to this clip, and then we'll talk briefly about it after the fact. So here is Conrad Thompson and Eric Bischoff talking about Bill Goldberg's Force City farewell tour.
Bill Goldberg has said he wants to do a Force City retirement tour, and he wants to self-promote it. When I heard that,
wait a minute, did he say this recently?
Yeah, right now, Eric, in 2023.
He wants. I've been out of touch, man. I've been traveling. I haven't been paying attention. So he wants to do a Force City retirement tour and promote it himself.
Self-promoted Force City retirement tour. Put it out there last week. Wants the buzz. Wants everybody talking about it. And I think to myself, imagine if somebody that Bill wrestled on this most recent run that welcomed him back into WWE, who maybe is no longer in WWE. I don't even know who that would be. But imagine if someone were to tweet out, zero plan to join Bill's tour. The old man wants all the money for himself. Plus 3 reality shows on tap. It feels like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, once upon a time, Chris Jericho would go just dump all over Hulk Hogan and say, oh, he's an old guy hogging up all the TV time.
That's ironic, isn't it?
Fast forward. And now Bill Goldberg started doing the same thing here back in 2009. But here we are in 2023. And he says he wants to self-promote a Force City retirement tour. 4-city retirement tour. Hulkamania Australia was 4 shows. Guys, let's maybe be better to each other and stop shitting on each other. Like, this is history repeating itself here, is it not?
Yeah, it is. This is a shocker to me.
So, for those who remember or know or do research or whatever it is, if you're into wrestling, you know that at one point, the Australian tour, Hogan put together a roster, was able to secure Ric Flair, and went to Australia and did a 4-event tour, so to speak. Did very well, didn't do what they thought they would do, but nonetheless. And then if you go a deeper dive into that episode, you find out that Hogan made sure everybody else got paid up front, and him and Bischoff, not so much. I think Bischoff didn't get paid at all, and the people who put that together and approached Hogan kind of stiffed some people, but Hogan made sure everybody else got paid up front, including Flair, and then him and Bischoff took the brunt of that. But the whole point of that is this. Hogan wanted Goldberg, and Goldberg was like, back at that time, Goldberg was like, no, the old man wants all the money for himself, and was ragging on Hogan for I guess lowballing him, which in fact, now that we know, it was the promoters and the investors that basically put the money value on everything. And then they mentioned Jericho. I'm a Jericho fan, but I do recall back when Hogan was in his last run, not the one-offs with Orton and Michaels, but right before he finally left. It was after the Brock Lesnar, I believe, leading into SummerSlam, and then the Missed America thing. How Hogan, he's taking all the TV time from us young guys and all that. And then, they made the nice little comparison to now what Jericho's doing in AEW. And then, of course, Goldberg now wants to do a 4-city tour and keep all the money for himself. And now he's got to book a roster if he plans to do so. And I agree with Conrad Thompson. Why do we have to do that as it pertains to everyone's going to be a legend at some point, or at least be a wrestler that has made contributions and are on the way out. Triple H and them cracked on Hogan for that. And then look what they did at the end of their career. They grabbed all the gusto they could get before they had their final match. And then they all made a big what to do about their final match. And Hogan, to this day, hasn't had any type of finality in the company. He doesn't even have a statue. They've given one out. Piper, well-deserving. Dusty Rhodes, well-deserving. Ric Flair got one. Remember, Ric Flair isn't a WWF man. Bruno Sammartino, very well-deserving. Andre the Giant, nothing needs to be said with that. Warrior, you want me back? You got to do A, B, and C. They did it. He's got a statue. I still don't get the apprehensiveness towards Hogan with that. But nonetheless, that clip, I think, is very informative, if for anything else, about everyone gets their due, their time in the sun. And then at the end of the run, all of a sudden, everybody's brand new. And if we could kind of switch gears a bit using that clip talking about indie wrestling, I think it's very important if you've got indie wrestlers that have made contributions to their territory, their companies, their fans connect to indie wrestlers just like we connect to wrestlers on, in the big show on TV and such. Sometimes more so. There's legends of indie wrestlers. I remember the Masked Marauder in my area from the 60s. Everybody still talks about him today. He was a local guy. He wrestled under a mask, but some people knew who he was. And after his retirement, it was still a big deal in our town and our small city. And to this day, it's still talked about once in a while. I think that's great and it's cool. It keeps wrestling alive. However, I still feel there's a way to go about it to pay homage to somebody like that. And I think it needs to be done. There are unwritten rules about how it should be done and when it should be done. And that's up to the promoter and the promotion. And at the end of the day, if they want a big parade, if they want to have one final match, however they want to do it, that's fine. I just think you got to be careful not to overdo it, for lack of a better word, prostitute it out. I think there should be a good way to go out and make sure everybody gets it. Everybody has a different view. Some people want to have all the attention because they think highly of themselves. Other people just want to go off into the night. So either way, getting back to the Hogan Goldberg thing, Hogan was doing it just to give Australia a chance to take a look at him because he hadn't been there, and took heat for it because once again, it's cool to rag on Hulk Hogan and not really know the whole story. And, once you get the whole story, people don't care. They still want to do what they want to do. Nonetheless, I thought that was an interesting clip, so I wanted to share that with you. Now, moving on, I want to talk about inter-promotion as it pertains to independent wrestling. And rather than doing an independent spotlight on a wrestler, I want to talk about independent promotions. I may not talk about them specifically by call letters or promotional name, but I do want to talk about the inner workings of that. Being in independent wrestling, I've had a lot of experience with some working with different promotions and staying true to the promotion I currently work with. Because with what I've got a couple clips from Jim Cornette and then another clip from Eric Bischoff and Conrad Thompson, I do believe less is more when it comes to working in a promotion. And what I mean by that is, I know it's a big thing right now in the indies, how I just want to work in all 50 states and I want to work with new promotions and I want to do this and I want to do that. I'm the opposite. I want to put down roots. I want to create, establish who I am in a promotion, and I want to see if I can build a following, good or bad. I want to see if I can draw money. I want to know and see if I can be consistent. And then if I need to take it on the road, then I've established something and I've proven myself to other promoters. This is who I am. However, going to different promotions, I think it's important that you got to still protect who you are and still want to put on a quality competitive match. We've had the opportunity, I know where I work, to bring in some really good talent. And I know we always try to be respectful of that talent coming in and not just for insider trading, just job them out to get a cheap pop or to get someone over that really hasn't put their time in. So I just think that it's important to understand that. One of the other aspects is other promotions get hacked off at certain promoters when promoters say, hey, you can work wherever you want, but if you work for this person or this company, I should say, this company or this company, I'm not using you. And it's not necessarily because that promoter or company's bad. It's who the roster they have. It's the type of matches they're having. You put a lot of time and effort into certain wrestlers, and then they leave you and go somewhere else. So you build them up and you get them where they need to be, and you're trying to promote them, and they're either impatient or feel they're not getting their just desserts, so to speak, and they want to go somewhere else. That's one thing. Another one is some guys just want to try different things. You got to remember this. It's hard for a promoter to want to use you if you go somewhere else and do something crazy, or you get beat, or you do things that don't fit. Because believe it or not, indie fans follow people. Indie fans are smart, and what I mean by smart is they can be respectful. They are respectful. They have certain men and women they follow that they like to watch wrestle. And so another aspect would be, why would I go clear over there to that promotion to watch you? I'll watch you over here. And if you're closer to me here, you're going to lose fans if I've built somebody up. So I think it's interesting. So nonetheless, I'm going to play this first half of the clip from Jim Cornette's podcast, and we're going to see what you think. By the way, if you've forgotten, this is the Good, the Bad, and the Wrestling of Tony James podcast. You can find us on Spotify, hit follow. You can find us on YouTube, hit subscribe. And as always, you can find us on Facebook at Outlaw Tony James. So let's take a look, or I should say, let's take a listen to what Jim Cornette has to say on what I've been talking about.
You didn't have a guarantee of anything. It was just whatever the promoter was going to pay you based on whether you were drawing money and whether the territory was drawing money, and the preliminary guys got preliminary money. And in some cases, for example, with OVW on a smaller scale, Danny Davis made the decision because this other promotion had gotten such a bad reputation, was doing all the blood and the violence and the bullshit and being called before the commission and getting kicked out of buildings. if you're trying to run a promotion that doesn't do that shit and want to be clear of heat with the government and the commission and regulation and be left alone, blah, 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 and because you want to have a distinct identity for your company and your territory or your promotion, you don't want to just advertise the same guys that they see on this other show in other parts of town or the same market. So there's no clear distinction.
So Jim brings up a good point at the beginning, and I'm going to play some more of that clip, but I just wanted to say I love to get in the ring. Everybody says they do it for the love of the competition and the art of pro wrestling. But I still agree with Hogan. It's about the money and the miles. You can't do what you want to do unless you're putting people in the seats to pay for it so you can continue the process. I would rather travel less, make more money, and entertain more people rather than wanting to travel all over God's green earth and try to make money and try to find promotions that can put an event together. So something to think about. And then he starts to talk about sharing and trading talent, the effects, positive and negative on that. And then, of course, I don't want to use guys that do what you do because it kills my product. Just interesting points. So let's go on to, let's continue on with this clip and see what Jim has to say.
And this is what's been lost with independent wrestling over the last, 25 or 30 years since it's become a big thing, especially in the Northeast, is independent promotions book guys that work every fucking where, even in the same market for multiple other promoters. That was not allowed for various reasons. If you were a successful company, a successful territory that had TV somewhere, and you brought a guy in and he got over fairly good for you and you made a name for him on your television, and then some outlaw promotion starts trying to move into the territory and that guy goes to work for the Outlaws, then it confuses the fans who didn't live their lives then on the internet because there was none. And by the same token, you don't want to reward the guys who do work for outlaw promotions by giving them jobs later on, either in the same territory or if it's the next door territory. Somebody that worked against, for example, when they worked for All South, for Ann Gunkel in Atlanta, those guys knew that they weren't going to fucking easily just go up and work for Jim Crockett in Charlotte because he was an NWA member, just like the established NWA office.
Hey, remember in the 90s, you couldn't work for ECW and Dennis Carluzzo.
Exactly.
Across the river.
And for various reasons and various times, you didn't want to use talent. You didn't want to encourage talent to work for outlaws or to work for people in your territory against you by then giving them a job. And theoretically, if you were connected, like if you were members of the NWA, you would call all those promoters and say, this fucking guy's working for these outlaws that are running against me. Or this guy is doing, in the more modern instance, this guy is doing garbage matches that's getting heat on the entire business of pro wrestling in a state with commission and the regulatory agencies. And we're going to make it known that anybody that wants to work for the more successful, established a company where you can have a bright future by being trained and going to the WWE or whatever the fuck, or instead you're going to work in this fucking roller rink over here, slicing yourself up, and you're not going to get that opportunity. And that was to the point why that until CM Punk got signed by the WWE, he never was ever considered to be booked in OVW because he had worked for Ian Rodden. So it's not like we were excluding, it was just a rule that Danny made, and rightfully so. It wasn't like we were excluding specific talents because they were all the shits, which was most of Ian's crew.
So, as Jim Cornette so rightfully stated, independent wrestling has taken off in the past 20 years or so, or at least the last 15. And I totally agree that to create a good promotion, a great promotion, to be consistent, to build good talent, to build upon yourself and create your own talent, when you're sharing talent in the same areas and people can go within whatever 20 miles 40 miles and see the same people, it's you might have one or two guys that I know, fans that they have specific wrestlers they like to follow around and watch, and I think that's great support. Much respect for those fans, but at the end of the day, if I live in a certain area and I know now the guy that I got to travel 40 miles to see is now in my backyard, I'm not going to the other promotion anymore. I'm going to wait till he comes to see me. And there are a ton of talents that are out there wrestling for multiple companies doing the same stuff in the match with the same guys doing the same match. I don't think they understand what they're doing to themselves. They are not getting over at all. And it's not bringing in money because all you have to do now is go back and look at a 2 to 3 show pattern using those guys in different areas. Because it's like the Bermuda Triangle out there. You got 3, even a square, the Bermuda Square, let's call it. They're out there. Look at the fans. Are they moving the needle and create increase? Are they actually bringing new fans and keeping them by doing the same guys with the same matches, or just insert this person here? I've been following it, doing research and bringing you new indie guys. I try to bring you indie guys that are in established areas, are established wrestlers, and stay put and don't travel a lot because they're over and they're quality and they know what they're doing. You should have to, it means something if you want to go watch a guy. And I have a lot of respect for the independent wrestlers who choose to stay in a couple areas, if not just one, and try to establish himself over a period of time, because it takes patience. You're going to have more downs than ups until you get established and the fans believe you and trust you. But that is a process you should be willing to take. And so I totally agree with Jim Cornette on what he's talking about. And then of course, it's up to the promoter too. If you're just doing one-offs or just want to give the people wrestling and you don't care, I'm going to put 25 matches on, I'm going to use the same guy, I'm going to give you the same match, blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. Then good for you. If you're just doing it to do it and you don't care about the money and you don't care about the quality, I'm not judging you. However, I have a different approach. When I work on a show, an event with a company, I feel that I don't want to reflect bad for that company, and I don't want to be a part of something that could reflect bad on me. Oh, you were on that one, the one match on that show. You were on that too? I don't like being connected with that. I like quality. I have respect for what I do. I have respect for the guys in the back. Whether I like them or not doesn't matter. I have respect for them because we're trying to be competitive. And if it is truly for the art and making money and less miles, I'm all about it. So I totally agree with what Jim Cornette's saying about that. And I think that is the downfall of independent wrestling. Once again, at the end of the day, the guys are in it for themselves. If the promoter isn't paying them enough or respecting them enough or appreciating them enough, I say go somewhere else. And if you don't want to go somewhere else, and you've pushed yourself to the point to say, hey, screw the promoter, I'm just going to be about myself. Keep in mind, you got at least 5 other matches on that card, and you got other guys in those matches. And if they're working their butts off, you are cutting their legs out from underneath them if they're trying to get over. So it's just something to think about. Now, I got one more clip about this topic. And it's from the same clip about tribalism, and they were talking about AEW and how Tony Khan gets out there and kind of creates a fictional competitive response with WWE. And then, of course, the fans online, everybody jump on and do this. Interesting. And so he talks about, briefly, it's a small clip, he's going to talk about getting over and the fans getting over. So let's take a listen to Eric Bischoff.
It's absolutely not. It's not going to get them over anymore. If they're going to go head to head and actually compete like on Monday night or Friday night, great, do it. Be controversial, give away do whatever you can. to create awareness for yourself. But if you're not really going to get in the fight and trade punches, then just shut up and wrestle. And I think by shutting up and wrestling, then the audience is going to get you over. That's who was I talking to about that the other day? Somebody, I can't remember. It was a talent. And the talent that I see that really get over, Cody Rhodes, perfect example. The audience wants Cody to win.
Yes.
When you can get the audience putting you over, you're winning. But when you have to put yourself over, you're not.
So the comparison I want to make with this clip, and I totally agree with it, is the fans are going to tell you if you're doing it right. Even if they don't like you, you can tell. And so to me, what better way to establish growth, who you are, and your company by quality versus quantity? That's what it is. And Eric Bischoff is right. I mean, look at the experience he has and look who he's talking about, Cody Rhodes. There's no need, especially on the independent scene, if you can find a really good company and get in and work your way up, and they have established crowd and they're trying to grow, that's what you want to do. You're going to become so much better in the ring because of that. You want to travel around and check off your 50 states and check off 5 new promotions? What are you leaving behind? Because I follow some of those guys and watch their stuff. You wrestled in Alabama. You gave me the same match, sometimes with the same opponent, 3 states over. So as a fan, I'm done watching you. All I got to do is go back 3 years ago and watch the same match you're giving me now. Whatever happened to growth, and even if you're wrestling the same guy, which I think if you can wrestle the same guy in multiple areas and multiple shows, but give different matches and create a program, hence the old Madison Square Garden program approach, you can actually bring people back to watch you wrestle the same guy. That takes talent. That's telling you you're over. So I totally agree with what Eric Bischoff's talking about, and so I just wanted to put that clip in. Before we move on, I'm going to drop something on you. It's going to blow your mind, and you might not agree with me. And I didn't do a lot of fact checking on this, but I'm going to drop it anyway. But before we do, I want to let you know who my great sponsors are. You are listening to the Good, the Bad, and the Wrestling of Tony James podcast. If you find us on Spotify, please click follow. If you listen to us here on YouTube, please click subscribe. And as always, you can find me on Facebook at Outlaw Tony James. Here are our sponsors. Today's podcast is brought to you by Three Brothers RC. They are the only place to go for RC products. Also, Southpaw Boxing Club. It's time. Right now is your time to get started on your health and fitness, and Southpaw Boxing Club is the place to go for that. And finally, Jose Sanchez Boots. They've been in business since 1963. They are the end-all, be-all when it comes to boots. We want to thank all 3 sponsors here at the Good, the Bad, and the Wrestling of Tony James podcast, and we ask that you reach out to them. That is Three Brothers RC, Southpaw Boxing Club, and Jose Sanchez Boots. Okay, I want to thank my sponsors as always. This is the Good, the Bad, and the Wrestling of Tony James podcast. So I was deep diving and found a WWF old school article posted on the 19th of May. And basically it says the latest episode of the TNT series Rich and Shameless featured Hulk Hogan versus Gawker. Okay. In 2015, Gawker illegally released Hogan's sex tape. Hogan sued them and won $120 million in damages, which bankrupted Gawker Media. This episode drew 854,000 viewers with a 0.30 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. These numbers are more than what AEW Dynamite drew on TBS this week. Dynamite drew 814,000 viewers with a 0.28 rating in the 18 to 49 demo, which is down from last week's 877,000 viewers with a 0.32 rating. Hogan doesn't even wrestle anymore. Just once again, I just want to throw that out there for everybody to kind of take a look and a listen. Love you, Hulk. And AEW, you're missing something. I don't know what it is. Maybe you should take Eric Bischoff's advice and just leave it up to the wrestling. I do know through I haven't kept up on ticket sales, but it sounds though like AEW is going to be very successful in the UK, around 60,000 plus tickets sold. And that's a great idea because they probably don't get a lot of AEW wrestling. I know live wrestling, I don't know if they've been over there, but I think it's a great opportunity. I'm not trying to say I don't want success for wrestling in general. I think that's awesome. I'm just not sold on the type of talent and what they do at AEW. But nonetheless, that's not where I'm going. However, I want to finish with something I found about MJF, the AEW champion. Now, when I look at companies, definitely when it becomes independent pro wrestling, I always go to their webpage, check out their champs, and then I watch their champs matches because I want to see, usually the champion you pick is a representative of your company, and that's what you're trying to get over. That represents you. You come see me. Our champions are the best. This is what you want to see. That's how I look at it. So I keep hearing about MJF. I know we've had guys on this podcast ragging on me, Tony, you got to check out MJF. He's the next Roddy Piper. Let me tell you something. He is not the next Roddy Piper. There is only one Roddy Piper. God rest his soul, he's no longer with us. And there won't be another Roddy Piper. I've listened to MJF stuff on his promos. I've watched his shtick. He's not Roddy Piper. He's MJF. He's not going to be Roddy Piper. I don't think he's at the quality of Roddy Piper. He is modern wrestling. Roddy is traditional. MJF can tell you he's old school wrestling, but he's not. He is modern wrestling. He just because you don't do flips doesn't mean you're not modern. So nonetheless, MJF returned to his old stomping grounds, the place I guess where he trained and got his chops, so to speak. And he took on one of their up-and-coming wrestlers. I want to say Swanson might have been the last name. I'm going to show you the match. Now, I'm going to be honest with you up front. I cut out a ton of stuff up front. The clip, if you go to YouTube, you'll be able to find it. MJF returns. You'll be able to take a look at that. And anyway, so they cut promos, a long promo. Then he gets to the ring, and they do this whole back and forth shtick for, 5, 8, 10 minutes. They finally get to the match. Now, once again, I'm all about indie guys getting themselves over and doing what they need to do. My stance because we just talked about it, about quality versus quantity. But when I look at the guy that MJF is wrestling, and I look at MJF is a big show heavyweight champion, the AEW champion. That's all we hear about. MJF, the AEW champion. Okay, I expect a certain match, especially when he goes into a match with this guy, and I take a look at this guy, and I compare the two visually, and then I'm supposed to compare the two talent-wise, and MJF is supposed to be the next Roddy Piper, and he's supposed to be this and that. And then I watch the match, and I watch the psychology, and I watch how they work. If I'm the promoter, the booker, if I own AEW, I'm not happy with this. I like the idea. I like the idea of champs like the old days going around and wrestling territory guys. We're pushing this guy. Can you give us a shot? This guy isn't George South in the NWA, all right? You didn't see Hogan wrestle Rusty Brooks, and Rusty Brooks whip Hogan or match Hogan. Rusty Brooks didn't even get to finish his match with Hogan because Macho Man Savage interrupted. Rusty Brooks put his thumb in Hogan's eye, but that's all he got. George South, heck yeah, he was competitive with Ric Flair, but George South is different. When Ric Flair wrestled the Mulkeys didn't get over. And I posted a clip previously when the Mulkey brothers wrestled the Midnight Express. They didn't whoop them. The Midnight Express took the Mulkeys to town, and they should. Well, I get what MJF's doing. I totally get all the motive behind it. Watching this match, to me, takes the AEW championship 2 or 3 notches down or behind from where it is. I would rather you just put the title on Chris Jericho and let him go to Japan. And if he can get 2 to 3 matches like he did the last time he was there as the Painmaker, and then drop the belt to an AEW guy in Japan, woo, now we're talking. I like the concept and I like the idea of going to smaller territories in Indy and defending the title or doing a showing. But there's a clip out there with Rey Mysterio versus Bam Bam Bigelow. This was when Rey Mysterio was in WCW and he was known as the Giant Killer after he had lost his mask. He gets his butt whipped the whole entire time, but the way they work the psychology, at the end of the day, Bam Bam Bigelow gets it, okay? Great idea. Big man, small man, how do you make it work? I don't understand the psychology behind the MJF match here against the territorial talent that he's wrestling. I just don't get it. I would have definitely, if he came to me and said, I'm going to do this, great. How are we working it? How can we help this young man? But I do not want to tarnish the AEW championship, because when MJF is done and gone and leaves AEW for WWE, or he retires, or he goes back to Rosie O'Donnell, or whatever it is that he does, you still have the strap. Who's going to wear it and take it further? And you don't want to leave that person in a hole trying to work its way out. Traditionally speaking, you go back, I still feel Superstar Billy Graham should have kept the title. Bob Backlund shouldn't have been champ, because it was almost like the belt was on hold for a while. And then you put it on Sheik and boom, which, don't get me started on the comment Sam Robert made about how if Sheik isn't the champion, Hogan isn't Hogan by beating him, taking away nothing from the Iron Sheik. But there were more things in play than just that. But I'm getting off topic. Once again, you don't want to leave the title. The title should mean something. It should be held up. And I'm not ragging on this young man. I get it. In his area, he's the man. That doesn't take away of the art of wrestling. That doesn't take away the psychology and getting somebody over. And once again, if you're telling me Roman Reigns went somewhere and wrestled a guy like this and did this match, they'd be all over Roman Reigns and giving him crap. Go back and watch Cody Rhodes' indie tour before he did what he did with AEW and then moved on to the WWE. It's about psychology and about doing the right thing. So anyway, I thought I'd leave you with this match, and you can watch it and you can create your own opinion and decide what you want. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, it's quality over quantity. It's about leaving the belt whole, because when you're done in the ring and you're gone, that belt stays, that company stays. And unless you run that company out of business, you got to leave it for the next guy moving forward. Just keep that in mind as you're moving forward, okay? You always want to leave the place in a better place than it was when you left, or as a champ, the same way. So as we do a little review as we go into this final match, I want to thank my sponsors. Hulk beat AEW in the ratings, and independent promoters. Let's start looking at quality over quantity. And independent wrestlers, at the end of the day, you're going to do what you want to do. But all I can tell you is this: you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. God is good, and we are going to see you at the matches.
You talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk, you gotta back it up. The AEW World Heavyweight Champion in the ring here at Creative Pro. His first match at Creative Pro since what? Since he left, how long ago? A few years, 3-4 years ago. Longer than that, maybe. Oh, styling and profiling for the AEW World Heavyweight Champion.
And you can do that when you're the champ. He's proven it.
MJF, we've heard him on commentary here a couple shows ago. He's popped his head here at Creative Pro back in a couple times, but first time in a long time, we've seen him with that bell rung. Well, Smack, I don't know what he's complaining about.
He's saying that MJF pulled his hair, but MJF would never.
No, he doesn't do anything.
That.
Yeah, no, he's a straight up guy in that way. He doesn't do anything like.
I don't know about straight up, but.
When it comes to you, maybe not.
Oh, well, Leo pulling MJF's hair. That's unfair.
He might have got a handful of hair there.
That's unfair.
I mean, yeah, he probably did. I mean, MJF, one of the cleanest guys in the game when it comes to when that bell rings, you know, always goes by the rule book. So I can't see him doing anything dirty.
Oh.
You know, you want to play the game that MJF plays. You're not gonna do it better than the man who invented this type of play style. You know.
Now he's a great wrestler, great talker on the microphone, and he's handsome on top of that.
Oh, Leo. Nobody with the clothesline. Oh, yeah, that's gonna hurt the tailbone, maybe the groin area, maybe the family jewels.
Yeah, he's trying to bash his nuts
Yep,
in.
there goes the nuts. Yep. Oh, yeah, those nuts. I 2 drops there for each nut. But then Leo just chops him down. Maybe Leo went a little bit below the belt there.
It's questionable. Of course, Steve Dumang in the ring, not the most observant referee.
MJF's gonna go over the top. Leo Sparrow tries to do the same. There goes the nuts again. And now he's just...
Stop him in the nuts!
He's opened up the doors, and he's about to kick his way right through the jewels. Yep, there you go. Get the refs back turned. And I can't see Leo Sparrow having any kids down the line.
I'm not sure where that boot landed, but Leo's in a lot of pain. MJF, a ring general.
No, usually you see guys during a match, they'll target a limb, the arm, the shoulder, the leg, the lower back. It's not very often you see him target the right between the legs, which MJF is going for.
Whoa, GKM now getting in the mix. Stay back. Stay away from him.
Leo,
All right.
get out of the way, man.
Oh,
okay, a little bit of playing possum.
Oh, all right. I hope MJF is okay. These ring posts are square. He hit it right on the point. He's down on the outside of the ring.
Leo Sparrow finally getting some offense, but he's using the environment here to help him out twice, banking MJF off the steel post.
I hope he's okay.
MJF, you can't really see, Max, I said, can't really see him over the crowd right now, but
I'm
going to sign.
Oh, gosh.
Leo Sparrow can kick MJF's ass.
Who brought that? His mom?
Maybe GKM did.
No one thinks that.
And now with the ref's back turn, talk about fair play, GKM kicking away, stomping away at the AEW World Champion. And Max,
this is unfair.
I don't know what this would do for AEW or what this would do to social media if Leo Sparrow somehow, some way, beats MJF.
I'll tell you what, if he even gets close, which he won't because he's not my boy, Leo. Oh, broccoli
There's
buster.
a broccoli buster.
Oh, hey!
Only
Don't
one
you
man
even.
can do that, yeah.
Don't you even.
Only
That's
one-
over the line.
Yeah, only one man's allowed to do that, and he's to my right.
That's over the line. Look, if Leo even comes close, I'm running in that ring and I'm beating him up.
Ooh, looking to go for the top rope,
jeez.
and he hits it again, just like on Robles, and MJF kicks out at 2. But look at MJF. Oh, he got shot with a bolt of lightning. I think that just pissed him off. But then Leo Sparrow, to his credit, not wasting any time, again using the environment.
Oh no, GKM!
Ref's back turned again. So Leo Sparrow effectively using his ally on the outside.
I want to go out there.
Sparrow cover. And you got to think the real Jungle Boy is got to be loving this right now. Just seeing MJF being beaten down right now by Leo Sparrow.
You would think there's a big pay-per-view title match coming up. MJF has to wrestle 3 other guys. It's unfair. But here you see how great of a wrestler he is, overcoming the odds, fighting multiple people in this match. Ooh. Again, with the hair. This guy is cheating.
You know, Ref Steve in there can get away with a lot.
You look around in this building a little bit.
Everyone is
Everyone's on their
standing.
feet.
Yeah, not the moment MJF came out through the curtains, everyone has stood up and has not sat back down, including us.
Yeah, we're up. I'm looking over our champ.
Oh my God! Leo Sparrow catapulted over the top rope. GKM tried to slow him down, but I think did more harm than good.
Listen to this place. We got a sellout here. The fans are on their feet. We got a locker room sellout. All the wrestlers are out here to see their boy, our boy, the world champion of all of professional wrestling, fighting here.
Leo back in the ring and slaps MJF, but that did more harm than good if you're Leo Sparrow.
Big mistake. Oh!
Now you're just hitting a brick wall. You are just striking a brick wall. Try something else. Try something different. And now MJF is just rattling off chops, whatever he has left in the tank.
Oh no!
Oh,
hey.
He's got the eyes. Yeah, he was getting hair before. Now he's got some eyes this time.
The rules are too relaxed here for me.
Oh, big clothesline by the AEW World Champion. Leo Sparrow goes up and down.
Big body slam there by MJF. Oh, and he's on a roll.
Count to 1,000,000. And there's 10.
An absolute master, MJF.
Launches him off the ropes. Big
Oh!
pop up right into the knee. And MJF is feeling it now. GKM, thanks for coming.
You get out of here. MJF is our champion here on Long Island. The world's champion to all the fans around the globe. And he's going for that heat-seeking pile driver.
Oh! JF gets thrown right into Ref Steve. He just meant boots to the gut.
A lot of us would like to hit Steve, but not like that.
Oh, and it goes below the belt. MJF promised to smash Leo's nuts, and Leo has turned the tables.
Okay, this is bad. Aside from the fact that the referee is down and Leo has a chair now, MJF just got hit in the crotch. I for one, don't like that.
This match was very lenient with the rules. Now with no rep, it's going to go off the rails.
Oh.
Trying to do a little Eddie Guerrero here. Yep.
Yes.
I got you now.
MJF, a
anything
master.
you can do, I can do better. And there's a reason why he's better than you, and you know it.
He's better than a lot of us.
And now Leo Sparrow's the one caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And then talk about fair play. He gets him right back, going below the belt. And now MJF has him right where he wants him. Leo Sparrow trying to squirm his way into a tap out. And MJF, the AEW World Champion, returns to Create a Pro victorious.
And all is right in the world. Long Island rejoices. This is the most magical place on earth. And it's because of guys like MJF, the world's champion.
Get out of my ring, you green sack of shit.
Oh.
Cut my music.
Cut his music, okay.
I told you I'd bust his nuts.
That's right.
Man of his word. Man of his word.
We can do that again.
This guy might be one of the most hateable, lovable people in the business.
You know, when I first came in to Create a Pro Wrestling Academy, I had one dream and I had one goal. And that was to go down as one of the greats.
It's a great goal to have.
That was to go down as a generational talent.
You've done that.
And that was to become the champion of the world.
Look at you now.
And guess what? This Long Island boy did that shit.
That's right.
However, none of that shit happens without Create a Pro Wrestling Academy. None of that shit happens without Pat Buck. None of that shit happens without Brian Myers.
True.
CA what? If you want to become a legend like MJF, the only 3 letters you need to know about is C-A-P.
Speaks the truth. Never lied.
Now let's go to Las Vegas, Nevada on May 28th. And let's prove who's the biggest, baddest pillar of them all. My name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you.
Mic drop. Not much to say. MJF has said it all. The AEW World Champion, one of the first and earliest graduates here at Create a Pro Wrestling Academy, returns and is victorious on his way to Las Vegas, Nevada. Alongside Platinum Max Caster, my name is George.